Today, we are digging deep into the final brutal chapters of George Orwell's classic Animal Farm.
So, how do revolutions betray their ideals? It's a huge question, right? One that echoes through history. And, Orwell's Animal Farm gives us a bone-chillingly clear answer. He shows us how a dream of freedom can just curdle into an absolute nightmare. Not because of some enemy at the gates, but because of the corruption that grows from the inside out.
All right, so let's get right into it. We're going to dive deep into this dark transformation. We'll go chapter by chapter through the end of the book to really map out the anatomy of this fallen revolution and see, step by step, how that old saying is true. Absolute power really does corrupt absolutely.
So first up, control through fear. It's like page 1 of the totalitarian playbook. You want to control people, you make them scared. And to justify that fear, that terror, you've got to have an enemy. You need a scapegoat.
And who's the scapegoat? Well, it's Napoleon's old rival, Snowball. Napoleon turns him into this phantom menace. I mean, anything and everything that goes wrong on the farm. The windmill collapses, Snowball did it. Someone misplaced a key, must be Snowball. He becomes this mythical, invisible traitor, a ghost that Napoleon uses to literally haunt the other animals into obedience.
And this is where it gets really dark. This made-up threat is the excuse for a brutal purge. It's totally reminiscent of historical show trials, right? Napoleon's dogs just drag these terrified animals out and they confess to the most ridiculous crimes. All linked back to Snowball, of course. Just think about it for a second. Confessing that Snowball incited you in a dream? Come on! This has nothing to do with truth. It's pure theater, a horrifying public spectacle meant to just shatter everyone's will to resist. And the result is just grim, a pile of bodies. For the very first time since the rebellion against the humans, animal has killed animal, their comrades. The ground is literally soaked with their blood. And that state-sponsored terror, it works. It completely silences any hint of dissent. Napoleon's power is now cemented, not with respect, but with pure, raw fear.
Okay, so once fear is the new normal, what's next? Well, the regime moves on to controlling reality itself. Because, as Orwell famously pointed out, if you can control the past, you can absolutely control the present.
You start to see this in the language. It changes completely. Napoleon isn't just Comrade Napoleon anymore. Oh no, he's our leader, father of all animals. A full-blown cult of personality is being built. They're writing poems about him. Every single good thing that happens is because of his genius. He's basically become untouchable, infallible, a god in his own barnyard.
So you might be asking, how do you justify that bloody purge we just saw? Easy. You just rewrite the law. The pigs sneak up to the barn wall and just add 2 little words to the 6th commandment. It's so sinister, but also kind of brilliant, right? For the other animals, who can barely read, they just think their memory is failing them. It's classic gaslighting. Their own government is tricking them into believing that this kind of state violence was always okay.
And it doesn't stop there. This next one just perfectly shows their hypocrisy. So the pigs find a case of whiskey, have a massive party, and ups, what about that rule against alcohol? No problem. Another commandment gets a little tweak. No animals shall drink alcohol to excess. The core principles of the revolution, all about rejecting human vices, are literally being rewritten overnight just so the new ruling class can have what it wants.
All right, so we've seen the fear, we've seen the lies. And this whole downward spiral into tyranny is perfectly, tragically summed up in the fate of one character. The farm's most loyal worker, the horse, Boxer.
Boxer is, he's the heart and soul of this whole operation. He's the true believer, the guy who works harder than anyone, sacrificing everything for what he thinks is the greater good. His mottos, I will work harder, and Napoleon is always right. They capture the total unquestioning faith of the common animal. He genuinely believes all his hard work is building a paradise. But after years of just destroying his body for the farm, he collapses. He's given them everything he has. So how does the new leadership repay his loyalty? They promise him the best care, that they're sending him to a veterinarian. But the van that shows up, it has horse slaughterer written right on the side. He's not going to a hospital. He's being sold to the knacker.
And then, Squealer, the regime's master propagandist, comes back and gives a performance for the ages. He spins this completely fake, tear-jerking story about Boxer's heroic last moments. He claims Boxer died peacefully, whispering "Long live Comrade Napoleon" with his final breath. It's just stunning. They don't just betray and kill him. They steal his memory and twist it into propaganda.
And here's the final disgusting twist. The money they got from selling Boxer, the ultimate symbol of the loyal working class, what do they use it for? They buy another case of whiskey. His entire life's work is literally traded for a bottle of booze, the very vice the revolution was supposed to destroy. You can't get more cynical than that. It's the absolute lowest point of the betrayal.
Okay, so let's jump forward. Years have passed. Most of the original animals, the ones who actually remembered the rebellion, they're gone now. The farm itself is doing better. It's richer, but only for the pigs and the dogs. And this sets the stage for the final, absolutely shocking conclusion.
Remember the 7 Commandments, the foundation of their entire new society? Well, they're gone, just scraped off the side of the barn. All the pretense is over. No more sneaky edits in the middle of the night. Now they can just erase the past completely.
And this is what they replace it with. One single maxim. It's probably one of the most famous lines in all of literature, and for good reason. It's paradoxical, it's cynical, and it perfectly sums up the new reality. It uses the language of equality to justify a system of total inequality. This is it. This is the official death certificate of the revolution. The whole story comes to a head at a dinner party. The pigs are hosting the neighboring human farmers. Yep, the same guys they kicked out in the rebellion. And what do these old enemies bond over? Mr. Pilkington actually stands up and gives a toast, congratulating Napoleon on how good he's gotten at exploiting his own workers. He says the animals on Animal Farm work harder on less food than any other animals around. They're literally praising each other's methods of oppression. And that leads to the final haunting image. The other animals are peering in through the window, and they look from the pigs to the men and back again, and they can't tell the difference. They're indistinguishable. The revolution didn't just fail, it came full circle. It simply replaced one set of tyrants with another, who turned out to be even more brutal, all while flying the flag of freedom. So that leaves us with this really unsettling question to chew on. When the oppressed become the oppressors, does that mean the revolution failed? Or did it succeed? Was the real goal ever actually equality? Or was this whole thing, right from the very start, just a power grab, a path to a newer, more efficient kind of tyranny? That's the question Orwell leaves hanging in the air for all of us.